Welcome back. And here we go again. We got our next lesson, 10.1, arcs and sectors. Last one we learned about angle measurements, and we're going to use that actually to find the next two lessons. So, what we're going to go over today is something called circumference and arc area. You're going to be able to define the circumference of a circle, find the circumference of said circle, understand the arc length corollary, and find the arc lengths of circles based on central angle measurements, which we just went over, and the circle circumference. So we're going to bring everything together. Here we go. First off, remember, we're going to yell at our answers. What is a circumference? Good. It's the distance around a circle. All right. So, for instance, if you're running around a track, it'd be how far you ran, even though a track's not a circle, but if it was a circle. So it'd also be something known like the perimeter of a circle. All right, if that makes it easier. So right here, if I was dealing with it, it would just be the outside part of the circle. Now, when you're finding an arc length, we just did this. The arc length is, how can we relate the word arc length to circumference? The arc length is the distance of part of a circle's circumference. So it's just a piece of that circumference. So before we were doing arc measurements, now we're doing arc lengths, okay? So now we're doing actual distances as opposed to angle measurements. Here's your theorem. Circumference of a circle. The circumference of a circle C is, do you remember the formula? Well, in case you don't, what do you think R stands for? Oh, there's my arc length. R stands for radius. Then D must stand for diameter. Now, how are these two things related? Anyone remember? The diameter is 2 times the radius. So if the radius is 6, the diameter is 12. Now, how is the radius related to the diameter? Inversely. Radius is half the diameter. So if the diameter is 10, the radius would be 5. Very important things to know when finding circumference. So the circumference is, remember the formula? It's actually 2 pi r is the most famous one, or you can also use pi d because 2 pi equals d. Now, pi is 3.14. We missed pi day. That was on 3/14, which was March 14th. But pretty much it is just a measurement that is universally known in circles. All right. Now, there's also a pi button on your calculator. You should be familiar with it. It's much better to use the pi button than it is 3.14. It's more accurate of an answer because 3.1427, it just keeps on going on forever. It never ends. Example 1. Use the formula for circumference. So, when we're finding our circumference, find the circumference of a circle with a radius of 11 meters. So why don't you guys try that? All you do is you take the 11 and you plug it in for r. So 2 pi times 11. All right, now, what's 2 times 11? 22. 22 times, hit that pi button, 22 times pi is 69.1. All right, and once again, you can either use the calculator on your phone. If you want to use that pi button, if you have an iPhone, you turn it horizontally. If you want to use Desmos, that's a good calculator place, or the graphic calculator as well. 69.1. All right, so I want you guys to do is try problems 2 and 3, and 4 and 5 if you want to go ahead. All right, good. Circumference is 2 pi r, 2 pi 13, 26 pi, which is 81.7. Easy enough. Circumference is 2 pi r, 2 pi times 26. So that would be 72 pi, which is 72 times the pi button, 163.4. I'm just rounding everything to the 10th place. That's what you should probably do too. Now, when we're using diameter, we don't have to divide it by 2 and use a radius formula. We can use pi d. Circumference equals pi d, so it's just 14 times pi. 14 times pi is 44.0. Remember to round. 0.5 and higher, you round up. 4 and lower, you round down. D, 22. 22 pi, which is 69.1. Got it? That's how to find circumference. Once again, easy stuff. Back to middle school. You may be elementary school, but we need to start somewhere, just like a review. So, now we're going to go backwards. We're going to use the formula for circumference, and this is just to get you using your algebra a bunch. Find the radius of a circle with a circumference of 18 yards. So now you're given the circumference, and you have to find the radius. Now, this is a lot more difficult than it seems for some people. 18 goes in for circumference. So you got 18 equals 2 pi r. Now, in your calculator, you have to divide it by 2 pi. If you type 18 divided by 2 pi in your calculator, just like that, your answer is wrong. Now, the reason for that is, what your calculator will do is it will do 18 divided by 2, which is 9, and then it will multiply by pi and give you like 27 point something, 28 point something, which is no good. So you have to do 18 divided by, open up parentheses and divide by 2 pi. All right? Because this is technically 9 over pi, which is 2.9. All right? So put the 2 pi in parentheses when you divide by it, or else your answer is 100% wrong. So when you try 7, 8, 9, notice 9 you're finding the diameter, so it's a little bit extra. All right, let's go look. Circumference is 2 pi r, 16 is 2 pi r, divided by 16 by 2 pi. I always like to do this, 8 divided by pi. You don't have to, but easier for me. 2.5. Next one, 14 pi equals 2 pi r. Notice this has a pi in it. So what do you think 14 pi divided by 2 pi is? Well, the pi's actually cancel out. 14 divided by 2 is 7. That's your answer. You're done. You don't have to multiply it by pi because, as I said before, they cancel out. 46. Same basic concept, but now we're using pi d. So 46 equals pi d. You just have to divide 46 by pi. Once you do that, you get an answer of 14.6. All right, so we went forwards, we went backwards. All right, now we're going to use that information we just did, and I'm going to add it up a little bit. So I'm going to start with the word problem, then get a little bit easier from there. So basic concept here. Dimensions of the skateboard wheel shown. Anyone skateboard? I do. Maybe I'll skateboard for you next video. All right, shown to the right are in millimeters. To the nearest meter, how far does the wheel travel to make 35 revolutions? Right? Every time the wheel travels once, all right, that's one circumference of the wheel. So if it goes 35 times, it's going 35 circumferences of the wheel. So first thing you need to do is you need to find the diameter of this wheel so we can find the circumference of the wheel. Bunch of steps. So how would you find the diameter of the wheel? Ready? Yell your answer. Good. You would add the three numbers together. 20 plus 15 plus 20 is 40, 55. Very good. So 55 is your diameter. Find your circumference. Pi times diameter, pi times 55. Type in your calculator, and you get 172.8 millimeters. All right? Find the distance the wheel travels in 35 revolutions. So if one revolution of the wheel travels the distance equal to its circumference, which is, what's the circumference? 172.8 millimeters. In 35 revolutions, the wheel travels blank the distance of the circumference. How many times? 35, because it's going 35 times. So the distance traveled, and this is a formula that's really good to know, equals number of revolutions times the circumference. Distance traveled equals how many revolutions? 35. What's the circumference? 172.8. Equals. Now you don't have to use any pi's anymore because we've got it all here. 35 times this. Good. 6,048. I just rounded because you don't have to get totally crazy. So you're going to convert millimeters to meters next, because 6,000 millimeters is a lot. So 6,000, 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters, okay? 1 meter is 100 centimeters. 1 meter is 10 decimeters. So we're going to do a little conversion. You divide this number by 1,000, right? And you get about 6.04. So about 6 meters, all right? This is a little more advanced than the stuff we'll be doing, but it's a good start place. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do 3 of these problems on your own. You're not going to have to do the conversion at the end, but it's always just good to know sometimes you have to convert. So I want you guys to try problems 11, 12, and 13. Hopefully you're done. Let's go. So we have the word diameter, so we're going to use pi d. So first thing we have to do, 42-inch diameter. We're going to find our circumference. Step 1, circumference. 42 times pi is 131.9 inches. Now remember, leave it in to like the 10th place. Remember the rule. Distance is revolutions times circumference. So let's look. What are we given here? Break down the thing. Wheel travels 400 inches. That's the what? The distance. How many revolutions does it make? How many means we don't know the number of revolutions, all right? And we already have our circumference. So 400 equals revolutions times 131.9. What do we do to solve for r? Divide by 131.9. And voila, you have about 3 revolutions. Huh, that's not many, but it's right. Ready? Next one. How many 36-inch wheels? Now, when you guys aren't familiar with cars, when it says it has 36-inch wheels, that 36 refers to the diameter. Okay, if your car has like 25-inch, I go, oh, I have 25-inch tires. It's 25-inch diameter tires. Okay, if you had a car with 36-inch or 3-foot radius, the tire would be like a monster truck. So also use a little common sense. So you should have found your diameter, 113.1. Now we have to figure out, we're going to use our distance, revolution, and circumference. So this case, how many feet? So your distance is your x. 423 rotations. Rotation is the same as a revolution. All right, so D equals 423 times 113.1. Multiply the two numbers together, and you get 47,841 inches. Did it ask for inches? No, it asked for feet. So what do we do with this number? How do you get from feet to inches? Divide by 12. And you get about 3,987 feet, or about 4,000 feet. All right? Good. Next one, skateboard wheel is a diameter of 55 millimeters. How many revolutions does the wheel make when traveling 3 meters? So, number 1, circumference equals pi times diameter. Circumference equals pi times 56 millimeters. So there's your circumference, about 176 millimeters, right? Now, we have to go to, meters has to go to millimeters, because you have to have everything in these same units. So, we know that 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. So we got 3,000 millimeters. And we remember we just did the conversion about, 5 minutes ago. So that 3,000 is the what? You're traveling this. So how many revolutions? So R is what we're looking for. Traveling 3 meters, which is 3,000 millimeters. So 3,000 millimeters equals R times 175.9. If you want to make this 3 and this 0.1759, you can do that as well. Convert everything to meters. But when you divide the two, you get about 17. All right. Hopefully you did well on that. It's not too difficult. Good. Let's go to the next problem. Now, this is going to step it up, and this is the last part of the lesson. This is the most important. Excellent. Give me a high five. All right, good. Now, in a circle, the ratio of the length of a given arc to a circumference is equal to the ratio of the measure of the arc to 360. This stuff is a little tricky to learn, but I've broken into steps to make it easy. So what this means is the arc length of AB, all right, arc length of AB, over 2 pi r, okay, so the length of the arc over the circumference equals the measure of the angle of AB, which is the central angle, over 360. That's crazy to do it that way. An easier way is you're actually going to be finding the arc length. So if you do a little cross multiplying here and division, or you just multiply this by 2 pi r. Wonderful. Good job. You washed your hands. All right. Now, you can make this the arc length equals the measure of AB over 360 still, now times 2 pi r. So this is actually a very simple step. Step 1. Step 1 is to find the percentage of the circle. All right, way you find the percentage of the circle is you take the angle and you divide it by 360. All right, that gives you what percent of the circle you're using. Step number 2, you're going to find the circumference of the circle. The way you find the circumference of the circle is 2 times pi times radius. All right, or pi times diameter. Step 3, you multiply the two steps together. So you multiply this times this, and then it spits out your answer. All right, very, 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 very simple to do. After I do one example, I promise you 2 examples. I promise you again. So let's look. Find the arc length of AB. Now we got a bunch of stuff here. So step 1. The arc length of AB is take the angle. What's the measurement of AB right here? The measurement should be 88 degrees. Remember, we just did arc measurement last lesson. So the arc measure of AB times 2 pi r. So fill in the arc measurement, which is 88 divided by 360 times 2 pi. Radius here is what? 2 meters. And now what you do is you type everything in your calculator. 88 divided by 360 times 2 pi button 2. And it spits out your answer, which is 3.1 meters. That's it. Got it? All right, let's look at 15. Find the arc length of AB. I want you guys to try this on your own. Good. Identify what arc length you're finding. We're finding AB. All right? This is a little hint in case you're having trouble. Don't assume it's the smallest one. It's not always the smallest one. Sometimes it could be the larger one. So make sure you're looking for the right arc. Number 2 is solve. So let's solve. 97, my angle, over 360 times 2 pi radius. 97 divided by 360 times 2 pi button 4. And as an answer, you should get 6.8 feet. Did you get it? Hopefully you did. I know some of you guys got it. Some may be still having a little trouble, but we'll do some more examples. So once again, find the arc length of AB and ACB. So do both these problems. All right? Can you go in the other room? Thank you. Now, first one. Find the arc length of AB. Know what you're looking for? You're looking for AB. 90 divided by 360 times 2 pi 13. 20.4. That's it. Find the arc length of ACB. Now, this is not ACB. ACB is A to C to B. So there's an extra step. How many degrees is a circle, as we did before? 360. This is why we did the last lesson. 360 minus 36 gives you 324. So this angle right here is 324, which is the one we're looking for. So, same exact formula. 324 divided by 360 times 2 radius, pi radius. So 324 divided by 360 times 2, pi button 40, and it should give you 226.2 as an answer. Got it? I want you guys to try problems 1 through 6 right now. Go. All right, let's see. First one, find the circumference. So instead of homeworks, these are like little mid-chapter reviews. 2 pi radius is 2 pi times 6, right? 12 pi or 37.7. This one right here, that's diameter, so it's pi times diameter, pi times 17, 17 pi. 53.4. All right, going backwards, 63 equals 2 pi r. 63 divided by 2 pi, in parentheses, gives you 31.5 divided by pi, or 10. Got it? And once again, you can skip this step. Find the arc lengths. Here comes the fun stuff. So the first one, arc length here. AB. 40 divided by 360 over 2 pi 6, 4.2 meters. Right here. What number? Good. 120 divided by 360, 2 pi 14, 29.3. Last one. We're looking for, now look, AB here, not 45. So you have to find this angle. It's actually 180 minus 45. So that's 135. So this is 135. This is the diameter. So we want to make this pi d instead of 2 pi r. 135 divided by 60. Pi d equals 9.4 feet. If you want to use 2 pi r the whole time, you can. Just turn that into a 4. That's what I usually do. I think it's the easiest. All right? Good? Let's move on. More problems. Find the measure of QR. How do we find the measure of QR? Let's see. Both those angles are the same, right? Since both those angles are the same, how do we know they're the same? Because up here, did you read that? QPR equals RPS. It says it. So if this is 60, how do we find both these? X plus 60 equals 360, right? X plus x is 2x's plus 60 is 360. 2x is 300 and x is 150. Got it? 150, 150. Find QRS. QRS, well, 150 and 150. You would add them together and you would get 300. R. SQ, 150 plus 60, and we did this last lesson. And you get, as an answer, 210. Got it? Find the length of QRS. All right, so now we're finding length. So QRS. Well, we said QRS is 300 degrees. So 300 divided by 360 times my radius is 8. 2 pi 8. And your answer is 41.9 feet. Hopefully you got these two. QR, we said was 150 divided by 360 times 2 pi 8 again. 20.9 feet. RQS, we said was 210. 210 divided by 360 times 2 pi 8 is 29.2. All right? Any questions with these problems? We're just going to do a couple more, and then we'll be done. All right? Let's just do a bunch of these. I'm just going to go over them. So do all these on your own, and then we're going to go over all the answers together. Ready? Here we go. So 18. You're finding AB right here. AB is 42 degrees. So you put the 42 over 360, right? 2 pi times 12. Type in your calculator. 42 divided by 360 times 2 pi 12 is 8.8. All right? Hopefully you got that right. This one, we're finding AB. 110 degrees. So 110 over 360 times 2 pi 26. 49.9. Problem number 20, you're finding AB. AB is 162. 162 divided by 360 times 2 pi 4. 1 or 11.3. Problem 21, you're finding AB right here. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. 180 degrees, that's 112, so that's not AB. So you have to do 180 minus 112. You get 68. 68 divided by 360. We're going to use. But we're going to use our radius. 48 is the diameter. We're going to convert that to a radius, which is 24. So when we plug it into our equation, it is 68 over 360. 2 pi times the radius, which is 24. If you did 68 divided by 360 times pi 48, you can do that as well. Answer should be 28.5 though. Got it? Let's do a couple more. All right. Hopefully you guys are done with these. All right. AB. 90 degrees. Well, that's 126. That's the diameter. We got to cut that guy in half. We're going to make him a 63. So 90 over 360 times 2 pi 63. Should have got 99.0. 23. Well, this is a little tricky. These things mean all three of these angles are the same. Since a circle is 360 degrees, each one of these angles then has to be 360 divided by 3, which is 120. 100 is our radius. So 120 over 360 times 2 pi 100 equals 209.4. Yes, if you did 2 pi 100 just divided by 3, you would get the same answer. All right? This one right here, ABC. 152 is the minor arc. You want the major arc, so you have to do 360 minus that number. Should have got 208. 208 divided by 360 times 2 pi 18 pops you off at a 65.3. All right? 28 divided by 2 is 14. This is a diameter, so that's a semicircle. 180 divided by 360 times 2 pi 14 is 440. You could also do 2 pi 14 just divided by 2. All answers are okay. All right, we got two more to do. Find the circumference of the circle. So we have the equation. We're going to write the equation out. Arc length equals the measure over 360 times the circumference, right? What's the arc length here? 24. So 24 equals the measure, which is 132 over 360 times circumference. 24 divided by whatever 132 over 360 is. If you actually get a number here, that's good. Or you can do 24 divided by 132 over 360. Just make sure you put that in parentheses. And you get an answer, 65.6. Awesome. All right, do 27. All right, let's see what you got. Arc length, 3.44 equals 60 over 360 times circumference. Multiply by the reciprocal. So if you don't want to divide, you can always multiply by the reciprocal. Either way gets you the answer. It doesn't matter. I'm just showing you two different ways. You get this times this. This cancels out, so you don't care about that. 360 times 3.44 divided by 60 equals 20.6. We all good? Last questions here, and then we're done. Let's go do a word problem to end things off. So it says, conveyor belt for a luggage at an airport is shown at the right. The outer part of the belt of a 180 degree arc at each end. For the arc, the radius is 8 feet. All right, approximate distance around the belt for a coin on the outer portion to the nearest foot. So they're going around. So outer portion is made of 2 straight sides and 2 semicircles, right? We care about the outer, not the inner. Now, the distance around the outer portion, how do we find that? So we need first the length of the straight section. How long is the straight section? 20. So it's going to be 2 times 20 feet. Now, are we going to deal with the 4, which is the inner, or the 8, which is the outer? 8, which is the outer. So what we do is we have 2 semicircles here. And 2 semicircles are, now a semicircle is how much of a circle? Circumference is 2 pi r. So how do you find the circumference of a semicircle? It's half of a circle. So the circumference of a semicircle is half of 2 pi r. So this would be half of 2, 8, and pi. Half of 8 is 4 times 2 is 8. All right, so you get 40 plus 25.1. 65.1. All right? And then you're supposed to do this one. I already put the answer up there, though. Whoops. But what you would have done was 2 times 20 times. To find the inner one, you would just use the 4 instead of the 8. And if you did it on your own, you should have got 52.6. All right? So hopefully you did well in this lesson. Wasn't that difficult. And just keep on going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And hopefully we're going to get through this nice and easy. And hopefully this helps you.